Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. It's the Musings and Music Show. This is Egbembiwan Monjimbo coming to you on Vosaworld Radio with a very important guest with me and a very, very, very important topic. Now, this guest is somebody that I got to know way back in 81, I would say, when we were both in CAST BAMBILI. And she was our SSO, the Senior Student Officer for Girls at the time, with a very promising future, which she ended up fulfilling. Her name is Dr. Bambole Grace ALAKE. And before having her here on the show, I did my homework. I went and just looked online and just listened to what it is that I found. I'm going to read it directly as I found it online, along with a very beautiful picture of her. So it says, Dr. Bambole Grace ALAKE is a specialist doctor in obstetrics and gynecology from the FMBS University of Yaoundé, Cameroon. FMBS is what we knew in those days as CUS, which is the Faculty of Medical and Biological Sciences. Is that what it is?
Faculty of Medicine and Biomedical Science.
Faculty of Medicine and Biomedical Sciences. And it says about her that she has an MSc in epidemiology, sexual and reproductive health research from the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. And she recently served as sub-director for immunization in the Department of Family Health, Ministry of Public Health in Cameroon. Her professional career path includes being the chief medical doctor for the reproductive health services consecutively in 3 district hospitals. She also gave part-time lectures on public health epidemiology to master students in the Faculty of Medicine and Biomedical Sciences of the University of Yaoundé, which we said was CUS back in the day. She served as sub-director for scientific networks in the Division of Health, Operation Research, then as sub-director for immunization in the Ministry of Public Health of Cameroon, before retiring from the public service just in February of 2019. She is the initiator and national coordinator for scaling up activities of use of the MCH handbook in Cameroon. And MCH, I think, stands for Maternal and Child Health.
Exactly.
Okay, in Cameroon, while doing her private practice. That is very impressive. Do you have anything to add to that? Is that accurate?
It's quite accurate.
That is wonderful.
I'm impressed that you went online to search my bibliography.
Yes.
So, what I can add is that I've traveled, have a worldwide experience in traveling. During my professional life, I've traveled to more than 14 countries in the world, and I've gathered some experience, especially concerning maternal and child health. So that's just all what I have to add.
That is very, very impressive, which means, because she's here today to talk about reproductive health, and you've heard from her, that resume, that impressive bio, that we couldn't have found a more competent person to come and speak on that topic. So let me start by asking her the obvious question. What is reproductive health?
Thank you, Egbe. WHO defines reproductive health as a complete state of physical, mental, and social well-being, not necessarily the absence of disease or infirmity in all matters relating to the reproductive system, to its functioning and process. So that's the definition of reproductive health by WHO. All
right. And what struck me there, of course, was the fact that we think generally of health, meaning that if you're not sick, we assume that you're healthy. None of us generally does not think about the mental part of things. We just think if you're sick, then you're sick. If you're not sick, then automatically you're healthy. Whereas it seems that that is not quite the case. So I have heard you talk about, because we've talked before, I've heard you mention genome. Why is it important to know your genome?
Okay, reproductive health, as I defined it, it has 4 pillars. The 4 pillars of reproductive health are responsible parenthood, respect for life, birth spacing, and informed choice.
Okay.
So the topic we're tackling today will handle two of the four pillars of reproductive health. That's responsible parenthood and informed choice.
Okay.
For responsible parenthood, one needs to know the genome.
Okay.
So genome is just what constitutes that part of you that could be inherited, could be passed to your offspring from one generation to the other. It doesn't change. What your genome, like your blood group, your hemoglobin electrophoresis doesn't change. It is part of your genome, and they are transmissible to your offspring, to your generation. So that's what genome. They are the traits in us that could be transmitted.
I see.
Inherited. Thank you.
Yes, I see. So then is definitely, I see now why it is important to know that, because that's part of you. And and since it can be transmitted, then it means it's something which we should definitely know much more about than we do. I myself do not know that much about genome. So I'm glad to hear that you're here to speak about that. So what hereditary diseases then, since you say it goes from generation to generation, what are the hereditary diseases that can be prevented if you knew your genome?
One of the most important one that I'm going to talk about is sickle cell disease. Sickle cell disease can be prevented if we know our genome, if one knows the genome. How do you know your genome? Is by doing that test, the sickle cell test, which is called hemoglobin electrophoresis. That's a screening test for the sickle cell test, which is called hemoglobin electrophoresis.
Okay. So yeah. So you would advise as a health practitioner that people, the youth, because this is a show mainly for them to be informed, you would advise that everybody should go and do this test and know their genome before anything else, because most of us don't. That is really informative, and I don't think many people even knew that it's possible to prevent sickle cell. We thought it just happens, and you're like, well, it's unfortunate.
So I'm here to create awareness.
That is exactly
on the prevention of sickle cell disease.
Wow.
And because many people don't know about it in the population. Why do I say they don't know about it? You see in highly educated people, couples, they find themselves with sickle cell children. Why? They went into marriage without knowing their hemoglobin electrophoresis. It's just by chance. And as it happens, they are surprised to have sickle cell children within the family. So it's very important that we carry out some important prenuptial tests before going into couple life. Because we in Africa, when we get married, we are expected to have children.
Right.
When I was in London, I saw people, they were in marriage, but they are there. They just love the relationship. They want to stay together. They say they love travel. You know, child making is not it was not their aim. But for us in Africa, we need to make children. If we don't make, our in-laws will always question and so on and so forth. It's not the mother-in-law always asks and so on.
Exactly.
So in order to have those quality fits from us, we should undergo this test. We do the blood group to know our blood group, which is very important.
Right.
We also do the hemoglobin electrophoresis to know our hemoglobin, whether we are of the AA, AS, or SS are always, they are the people that we could just know, because even physically we can know SS is sickle cell disease. The person already has a sickle cell disease. And then we know how to, that is, we really have the informed, we really have the, the adequate information to make informed choices concerning our future. That's why I say this talk today also handles one of the two of the four pillars of reproductive health, which is responsible parenthood and informed choice.
Correct. So what are the measures? Are there some concrete measures being taken there in Cameroon to sensitize the youths about this? I know you're already doing a very efficient job of it right now on this platform right here. But are there other things, like do they go to, at this rate, if you go and start doing this kind of talk only, I don't know when, after the fact, that may be kind of late. So do they, at what age group, at what point in time do people in Cameroon, if at all, take the time to sensitize these youth so that they know this stuff before they get into times when they're thinking about getting married? Is there any such program? Is there any sensitization thing happening in Cameroon right now?
You know, Egbe, I'm so passionate about this topic that I've been taking it as a responsibility that I should, in my own small way, try to reduce the rate of sickle cell disease in Cameroon. How do I do it? I started years back, more than 10 years ago. We organized health talks in the church where I go to at St. Peter and Paul Anglophone Church at Simbok. We organized, you know, a whole health sensitization day. We sensitized youths on this responsible parenthood. We sensitize them on the importance of prenatal tests. We carry out the test, and the church used to give subvention. The church gives subvention so that we screen these youths for free. They used to pay only a token. We screen for sickle cell disease, blood group, and HIV test. So that's what we do to sensitize in the churches. Another milieu that we sensitized was in the university. This was done during this International Women's Day when I was in the Ministry of Public Health working. It was a project that I wrote, and they gave the funds, and I did it in the University of Yaoundé 1, where we screened a lot of students. And these students, we gave them a health talk, sensitized them on the importance of doing this test. The blood group electrophoresis, hemoglobin electrophoresis and HIV test. That is part of them. They didn't know. Many students.
No, many people don't know.
Yeah, many students had these results and they were delivered their health cards. On their health cards, they had their photos on it, their passport size photos on it, and they have it now. And you know, the university milieu is a milieu where students interact. They interact socially. That's where they have friends, they have sustainable relationships that can even, most of them result to marriages. And so that when we educate children, we should educate them, not only book, but socially prepare them for their future. And since we want stable marriages in Cameroon, we want stable families, we want quality population, we don't want a sick population. That's why we go into the university to sensitize these students and give them the opportunity to test, to screen them at a very, just subsidized cost for this test. We also do sensitization within youth groups. Like last time, just 6 months ago, I did one in Boya when the NACDA, that is the Dong Awing Development and Cultural Association, they had their General Assembly, the National General Assembly that held in Boya. That's a media meeting in June. I also carried my team there. I have a whole health team of nurses and even university students that we take along. And they went there and they sensitized and they carry out the test for these youths. So that's how we carry activities. Those are the activities that I've carried out.
That you have personally done.
Personally, I'm so passionate about it. That because there's something that is preventable. When it, there are some associations that tackle but the sickle cell children at birth. And then they say that once they deliver the child, they should do the hemoglobin electrophoresis after some months to see if the child is sickle cell. Then they put them on their drugs and so on.
That is selling after the market.
Selling after the market. Why not cut the transmission upstream?
Before.
So we are here now for prevention. That is preventive health. So and if all Cameroonians are sensitized on this issue, I bet you we will have less sickle cell children in Cameroon.
Correct. It doesn't. We go back to the old slogan of prevention is better than cure. Because the stress after it has already happened, it will cause stress in a marriage. The poor child is struggling, which is already the difficult. It's hard enough to raise a healthy child. How much more one that is struggling and suffering? So I hear you loud and clear, and your efforts need to be commended. And I think we should make it. It should be more widespread. We are talking about Cameroon and Africa in general. The Cameroonian communities are out here too. they also need the same sensitization you're talking about. Even out here, it's not as if people know it that much. So I'm glad you're here on this program to sound that alarm bell, to sound that warning bell, even if I cannot say alarm, but warning bell to say, most of us just found somebody, we love the person, he looked good, he had enough money. They're like, yes, this is my person. We're going to get married and live happily ever after. Well, not so sure if you do not know things like what you have just mentioned, the genome right there, your blood group, and all of those things that can potentially get in the way of having a smooth and healthy, especially when, as you have said, it's preventable. There's some things which you are not God, you're not a soothsayer, you're not a Ngambi man to know exactly what's going to happen in the future. But what you're talking about here is something that is science. You can find out and you can know. So you've already talked about why it's important to know your blood group. Before, can you go into a little bit more details now? Okay, I find out my blood group, then how do I know, when I know my blood group, then what?
When you know your blood group, an individual can have 1 of 4 blood groups. You could the individual can be of the blood group A, B, AB, or blood group O. Yes. Each of these 4 blood groups has a rhesus factor attached to it, either rhesus positive or rhesus negative. Okay. So the individual can be A rhesus positive or negative, B rhesus positive or B rhesus negative, AB rhesus positive or AB rhesus negative, O rhesus positive or rhesus negative.
Okay.
Now, once we've screened and you know your blood group, the issue comes in if it is a woman and the blood group is of the rhesus negative, either A, B, AB, or O negative. If it's a woman, it's a female that has this negative blood group, we give, a target and advice. We counsel that woman who is of the rhesus negative group, that once you have entered the reproductive age, once you have a pregnancy, and if along the way you have a miscarriage, that's after about 16 weeks, that's 4 months of pregnancy. If you have a miscarriage, you must go for the anti-D serum, because might be the father of that pregnancy, the father of the pregnancy is of the rhesus positive blood group, and the progenitor, the embryo that you had, yes, could have taken the blood group of the father. And during that intrauterine life, there must have been some changes, or during the abortion, and then the baby's blood enters the mother's circulation, and there it is recognized as an aggressor, an antigen, and the mother's blood secreted some antibodies.
Oh wow! And that's what provoked
that first pregnancy goes, whether abortion or a delivery, goes with no problem. With an abortion is an abortion, but if it is a delivery, the child is not affected. But that lady now is already sensitized. And subsequent pregnancy, a second pregnancy now, if that baby dares to be rhesus positive again like the father, and there's some exchange of blood, and the mother's blood now will recognize that second pregnancy's blood as an antigen, as an aggressor, and the antibodies that were already secreted in the mother's system now will start fighting the blood of the baby, cause hemolysis, break down blood into fragments.
Oh, wow. Oh, I hope I didn't lose you. I think I lost you. Are you still there? Can you hear me? Just as we're getting ready I was listening intently and trying to get you. We may have to maybe stop briefly and see if we can get our doctor back to come and continue this very, very, very important discussion we were having. She was coming to us from Yaoundé. Sometimes the connections are strange. So bear with me. I will go back and see if we can get her back on track. Okay. Let's see. Oh, you're back now. We lost you briefly. So you're explaining about the possibility of in the second pregnancy. That's where you were.
Yeah, rhesus sensitization.
Right. Go on, please.
So I was explaining resource incompatibility. All that was just to explain the importance of knowing your blood group before marriage. It's so helpful for the female, female. And it is preventable because the woman knows that she's already resource negative. So if her husband is resource positive, each time she gives birth, she will be injected this anti-D serum to neutralize those antibodies that might have developed in her system, and she will never have a problem of hemolytic disease of the newborn or losing her pregnancy and so on. So you see, this is very important, and ignorance will lead us to this problem. And we have unstable couples, unstable families, breaking of marriages. Yes. We said it's witchcraft and so on. I say, we have seen something in my clinical practice. You see, I've seen. You see a woman like that, lining 4 children, stillbirths, neonatal deaths, abortions, and so on. Some even born by cesarean section, they die. I have examples that I can put here that are not really good. And I'm really passionate about this to see.
I don't blame you. I'm feeling passionate along with you just listening to that. Because what will be happening there in those families is the in-laws will be screaming over here. It is bad luck. Some they will be trying to beat somebody up in the village and say he's the one causing all of this bad luck. There would be all kinds of reasons, whereas it is in the science and it's preventable. So I hope people who are listening to us, please listen to the good doctor, listen to her, and then this is stuff which is preventable, which causes so much strife. Can you imagine the emotional state of a woman like that who has lost 4 children in a row? They will just say it is bad luck or it is witchcraft. They may even go to church and be praying, Holy Ghost fire, come on the thing. It's not, I don't want to blame poor Holy Ghost fire. It's there and it's useful. But Holy Ghost fire is not supposed to come and work overtime on a case like this, which medicine could have prevented. Which if only they knew the knowledge, if only they knew, it could have prevented it. So she's told you, know your genome, know your blood group before you have children. So the possibilities of having a sickle cell child within a couple, you have already touched on that. I know that there's all this SSA, this and that, all of the whole alphabet they're going. Did you want to go a little bit into that more or not?
Now, let me just brief our audience on the possibilities of having a sickle cell child within the family.
Yes.
Okay. But let me still go back to that blood group again. Okay. Just one point that I missed. So the take-home information for the blood group is that you should know your blood group before making children. Right. You don't say marriage because people get children before marriage. Before making children, know your blood group. Because once that woman is sensitized, nothing can be done. I say nothing can be done. She can be sensitized because she had an abortion. She lost a pregnancy as above 16 weeks of gestation, or that she has delivered. So if she knew her blood group, she could have injected that. She could have been injected the anti-D serum to neutralize the antibodies in her. And each time that woman delivers, she must be injected anti-D. But I tell you, once she's sensitized, nothing can be done. Her obstetrical life is already compromised. Unless she gives birth to a rhesus negative child that has her own risk factor. And the chances are slim. So she just have to put her fingers crossed each time there's a pregnancy, and by God's grace. Thank you. Now I go to the possibilities of having a sickle cell child within a couple. Normally, an individual electrophoresis, hemoglobin electrophoresis is either AA or that is, there's no sickle cell trait. AS or AS, therefore there's a sickle cell trait. Or SS, the person is already a sickler, has sickle cell disease. Now, if an individual, a man, woman, if both of their hemoglobin, the results of their hemoglobin electrophoresis are AA, it means that their project, the child they are going to give birth to, all their children should be AA. 100% of the children should be AA. There is no sickle cell trait within that family. Is that? I hope that is taken note.
No, that's clear for me.
Good. Let's take in the second case of somebody who has hemoglobin electrophoresis AA. Let's marry to somebody who is AS. Yeah. During the fertilization, the A will bring is 1A, and the AS will bring 1A and 1S.
Right.
We'll cross them. They'll cross. It's all a matter of chance, probabilities.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, they have 50% chances of having AA, children with a hemoglobin electrophoresis AA, normal. Mm-hmm. And 50% chances of having children with AS. Therefore, 50% AS, they have the sickle cell trait, and AA, there's no sickle cell trait. That is union between A and AS.
Correct.
That's all. Now, a union between AS and AS. AS and AS, there's 25% chances of having children who are AA. 25% chances. 50% chance of having children who have the sickle cell trait AS. Wow. And 25% chances of having children who are SS sickle cell.
Right.
All these are chances.
Yes.
But you can see in some couples, an AS gets married to an AS, the first children SS, and so on. Imagine. So that's why it is really good to know your genome, your hemoglobin electrophoresis before you start making children. Mm-hmm. So marriages between AS, we discourage them. We inform them. We give them all these possibilities.
Correct.
5% chance of having SS children. And all these SS children are sickle cell. They are sick children. They need a lot of, family care, income, expenditure, care, and so on, and their health and everything. Right. So they know. If the couple say they love each other and
they want to go ahead.
And they want to go ahead, but we'll tell them that there will come a time that what you really like this to become like you are chewing sand in your mouth. You are chewing sand. You're giving sand to chew. If you say, I can't go without the other, that's why I say we are handling one of the 4 pillars of reproductive health, which is informed choices. Make your choice, but well-informed.
Know it.
Never say, had I known.
Yes.
But you already know.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Now, in another case, we've already treated 2 cases, AA, getting my AA. We've treated AA, getting a union with AS. We've treated AS and AS. Now let us treat AA and SS.
Right.
AA, SS. All their children will be AS. Meaning that a sickle cell, they are sick, they get married. But if you know your genome is AS, don't get married to it. Get married but to AA. It's very important to know the genome, the hemoglobin electrophoresis of your partner. For SS, this is an advice. They shouldn't just go making children because they've seen a man and so on. They must check that the man is AA. And in that case, all their children will be AS, who carry the sickle cell trait. It is for them now to advise their children to carry out a test for their own future partner before they get married. They already
down the road, yes.
So
yes.
See how it goes family downwards, and that's how we eliminate. We try to prevent sickle cell disease along the line going.
Right.
Now, in the case that AS gets married to SS, that's why I say you must be tested. If AS gets married to SS, what happens? 50% of those children will be AS, and 50% will be SS, sickle cell children. That is chances. There's percent chance that they will have AS children and 50% chances of having SS sickle cell children. So this is a relationship that is also very, very much discouraged. Very, very, very much discouraged. Because you don't come because of your pleasure, you come and fill the world with children with problems and so on. If we really inform them and they continue, then really they don't love they don't love the family, they don't love themselves. They call that love. That is not really love, where you know that you are going to make children and the children are not
going to. In fact, it's even a little bit. I don't know whether the term I should use, whether I'm permitted to use the term selfish, because you see, the child is going to be struggling. You see, the child is going. You have to think about the child too. That the child is going to be sick. So not only are you thinking about it from your own point of view that that you are going to have to take care of the child, what about the poor child who's going to have to go through a lot of struggle? So it's really worth, I see what you're saying, is really worth thinking about. That is this butterflies you have in your belly, like the Dolly Parton love thing, is it worth it? Number one, will it even withstand the stress that's going to come from the thing? And number two, how about the child that you're bringing that's going to struggle? And then you need to, I know that at that age, that's why what you're saying is important. At that age, everybody's just, your eyes are all bubbly and in the sky and thinking about love. That is why you need to say, hey, and you're ringing the alarm bell, the warning bell saying,
very important.
Think twice, think twice, think twice, think twice. And as you say, you cannot force anybody to say, no, as a doctor, I ban you from getting married. But at least you would have told them ahead of time. They know what is possibly.
Make that informed choice.
That is it. You know all the facts. This en pleine connaissance de cause. You know all the facts, and you still went into it. You cannot come now crying around and saying, at least you will not be shocked and surprised. You knew it was coming.
And if the child asks you, Daddy, Mommy, you knew this. I'm your product. Why did you go into this union? What will you tell that child?
Exactly.
You know, if his ignorance is good, but you really know and go into it, you have a question to answer.
Right.
And those questions that those children answer, they trick you to your feet.
True. 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 If you knew ahead of time, why did you come and put me through this kind of suffering? It's one thing, as you're saying, ignorance, I just did not know. And this is what happened. And then that's very different. So what about it in our day and time, HIV tests? Is that one of the things that you would say people should take to and be sure before? I think I'm asking a silly question, but I'm guessing HIV tests, is that not something that you would recommend as a gynecologist that people should do before you're ever really getting with somebody and having children? That would you recommend that an HIV test be taken to?
Thank you, Egwe. I will still take you again back.
Okay.
To summarize the hemoglobin electrophoresis test.
Okay.
So after everything, the take-home message for those who are listening to us is that if your hemoglobin electrophoresis gives AS, please don't get, it's advisable that you don't get married to AS, again, like you, because you have 25% chance of having a sickle cell baby. Do not even venture to get married to an SS, no matter how you love that person, because you have 50% chances of having a sickle cell child within that family. If that's the only message that you can take home for today, concerning electrophoresis of hemoglobin, that is good. So know your genome, but you don't know your genome, you cannot make that informed decision. Know your genome, your partner should know the genome, and then you make your decision. Now, concerning your next question, as regards the doing the HIV test before marriage. HIV is human immunodeficiency virus. The test that we know it's one of the means of transmission is heterosexual means of transmission. In about 97% of cases is heterosexual transmission. Heterosexual means a relationship between a man and a woman. Relationship between a man and a woman produces life. That's the reproductive health which we are talking about. As they come together, couple life, they copulate, the product comes and is a baby. And it's transmissible. Okay. Even though the transmission rate is very low now because of antiretroviral therapy, it is really, really discreet now because of antiretroviral therapy that we put the women on. It is good to know your HIV status, whether the man or the woman before marriage. If any of them is positive, they would be coupled, whether the man or the woman. It's good to know. We don't say they shouldn't get married. Please, we are not saying that within the couple, if one is HIV or both of them are HIV, they shouldn't get married. No, go ahead and get married, but be informed that there's possibility that the baby could be HIV positive.
Right.
Yes, because it's transmitted through the, you know, it is through, it is intrauterine transmission or during delivery and so on.
Right.
So babies born of HIV parents can be HIV positive. So for that, they should know. No partner should hide it from the other one.
Right.
They should know. And that's what I will expand more when we come to my summary of this interview at the end. I'll tell you where this and the importance should be laid on HIV testing before marriage. And if we get them at those earmarked places, they will go a long way to diminish the spread of HIV.
Right.
Because once you know the status now, you know the status, you could be put on antiretroviral therapy.
I was going to ask.
And it'll go a long way now to to diminish the chances of mother to child transmission of HIV.
You see, this is really good to hear and good to know, because we first of all, when we did not, back in the day when we just first heard, when we thought that you could transmit HIV, because you're talking about HIV, not necessarily AIDS itself. What about, I'm just asking, what about full-blown AIDS? If somebody has the AIDS, does that make the situation any worse? Or just that they're HIV, if you actually get sick, let me say somebody's actually sick, what happens then? Like if the person is what happens then? Because if you are HIV positive, there's a possibility, right, that you can actually have full-blown AIDS. Is that possible? That's right, correct?
Yeah. Full-blown, or somebody who really has HIV and manifesting the disease.
Right.
We always refer them to the treatment centers, to the appropriate treatment centers. They are followed up. And with antiretroviral therapy these days, it goes a long way to ameliorate the life of the patient. The viral load decreases, the CD4 count increases, you know, life comes back. And then those treating, they always work in collaboration with the gynecologist. They evaluate the state of the patient, and they can always go ahead to make their families. But there is dual follow-up.
Correct. Correct. Which is why what you're doing is that, because you see, before people used to just say, if you find out, you just keep quiet and you're silent there, you're keeping it or you're hiding it, which doesn't help, because now if this happens, there are ways, there are drugs. I think it's no more that kind of death sentence we used to think it was before. Everybody was afraid. Back when we just heard about it, we were afraid to even shake somebody's hand. We were afraid to even sit next to a person, and it was like a big fat taboo. Now with science, thank God, this is not the same kind of a taboo thing. There are people that we all know who have HIV, but who are living very normal and healthy lives.
There's no more stigma. There's no more stigma.
Yes, yes.
And once you know, you follow up to prevent maternal to child transmission. And after the follow-up of this baby, until along the way, the child is seen that it's free of HIV, didn't contact HIV. Those who contacted it, they are also follow up. There are programs in Cameroon that are taking care of that very well.
So glad to hear that. So glad to hear that it's not the death sentence we used to think about. And then because of the stigma, people used to be shy, and it made it worse because now people were afraid of the stigma and did not want to say anything to anybody. Whereas if you do, then you know what to do to take care of yourself. Information. What you're saying is awareness is a big thing. Awareness is a big thing.
Very big thing. And also within that couple, if it was one of them that had the HIV and was HIV positive, they know how to advise them. Because if they were ignorant now, the other one would easily contact it. But now that you know it, they follow the preventive measures, barrier methods, and so on. If they follow the gynecologist and so on, they can know how to pinpoint when the woman can have a pregnancy, and then continue using her preservative, condoms, and so on. And the pregnancy goes, we follow up antiretroviral drugs, and it goes. So life goes normally, like, you know, it's not even an issue. HIV is not an issue. If somebody says you don't want to marry somebody because of HIV, then where is the love now? If there's love, you can still go ahead, but be informed.
Right. Wow, I didn't think the day would come when I would actually hear somebody of science actually say that, because I can tell you that most people say HIV, no. That is where they would even more fast even faster have drawn the line and say that's a no HIV. Whereas look at the thing with sickle cell that is quite dangerous. That's what people are going into without even knowing or thinking twice. Wow. If you tell somebody, sickle cell could come and HIV, they will panic more about HIV than they will panic about sickle cell. Whereas handling the HIV, as you said, it can be managed. Whereas the sickle cell one, wow, this is knowledge and information that we really did need to get out there. And I really do thank you for bringing that to our attention. In which case, I was going to say, okay, you are the specialist talking about this. I am the listener listening here, but we know nothing much will change if policymakers don't get involved, because they're the ones that put the laws into place and that can make a real significant change. So what message would you like to put across to those policymakers, those who make the laws, those who, decision makers, let me put it that way, decision or policy makers? What would you like to say to them if you had a message to give them? If they were sitting in front of you here now and you were on the panel addressing them, what would you like to say to them, especially on the issue of prenuptial tests?
Thank you very much for this question. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to air out what has always been in me. And this is a good forum for me to air it, not only to Cameroonians, but all listeners all over the world who will be listening to me. Firstly, the awareness. The message should go to parents of these children. When your child comes and say, I love X, I love Y, want to live our life together, please, as a parent, tell them to do their prenuptial screening tests, which include they should know their blood group. They should screen for hemoglobin electrophoresis. They should screen for HIV. These days, I also ask for hepatitis. Okay. Yeah, those are preventable things. Hepatitis B could be treated, and so on. And since it could transmitted from this mother to child transmission of hepatitis B, if the couple knows it before, and if they know if it's the male couple or the female couple, then they should manage it. If it's a male couple, they undergo treatment. If the female couple, they undergo treatment. And the woman gives birth to this child, there's specific treatment that has to be given to the baby during delivery, and specific follow-up of this baby too. So hepatitis B is one of the tests that I ask, and even in Cameroon is one of the tests that I ask for prenatal, antenatal care. But for me, I included my patient who come for prenuptial counseling, prenuptial test. I always ask it for them. But the three ones are important. This one is just if they can do it. So it's at the level of the parents. Ask your children to carry out their prenuptial test. If the results are okay, there is green light. If there is a hitch, they should know how to manage it with specific counseling and advice. The second target decision makers are what the universities. My advice now, or my proposal, is to those chancellors of the universities, the rectors, the deans. Those are the decision makers. Right. The Minister of Higher Education, because it's in that higher institute, professional schools, that there's a lot of interaction. And in Cameroon, before the students get registered in the university, there's a series of tests that they request them to do before entering the university. So my plea is that, please, can you include tests? Let these children know their genome before entering the university. As they enter first year university, that's where they start having friends. Many people go to get their married partners from the university. Right. These are higher institutes of learning. Correct. They are learning high, big book. Why do people learn high, big book if tomorrow they give birth to children that will instead try to bring back the economy of our country? Let them take those informed decisions. So the university, if they can include it as one of the tests that children do for entering the university. That would be good. Let them just do. And it's okay. They just know. It doesn't mean that they'll send them away. They will register them.
No, it's information.
Yeah. Information is power. Knowledge is power. They are empowered to make decisions concerning their life, the life of their families, and the well-being of and the life of Cameroon, the future leaders of tomorrow. That is the second target. The third target is at the level of the civil authorities, the mayors, where they enact marriages.
Right.
If people come that they want to, have the civil status, have their
marriage license,
and so on, can these mayors? I don't know. I'll have to look for a way to meet them. I hope some of them are listening to me. If they invite me in their meetings, I'll come and really explain it to them.
Right.
Can they just ask these couples that one of the requirements, please bring us your prenuptial test results? They are signing marriages. They want marriages to be stable tomorrow. Once all these issues come in marriages
will break down. They have the potential to break a marriage down.
Again, the Ministry of Women Affairs, the Women Empowerment and the Family will not be at ease because families will be breaking. So my message also goes to her, to the Ministry of MINPROF.
Right.
Yeah, that they should sensitize at the level of those women centers too, so that the women can sensitize their children.
Right.
Right. I think these ones, I've already talked about civil authorities, university, parents. And that target is the church, the clergy. When we enact church marriages, the priest will always say, bring a certificate to show that it's monogamy. Okay, bring also the results of your lab test to show your hemoglobin electrophoresis, your blood group, and your HIV test. You are getting married in church, and they say it's monogamy. You have, especially in the Catholic Church, you have to be together for life until death do us part. Okay? Make sure the marriages are stable, because all these things, they will surely break tomorrow.
Right.
So those are the target population, they target the decision makers that could really foster the testing of individuals to know their genome before marriages. And if we do this, it will go a long way to reduce the prevalence of sickle cell disease in Cameroon and in other countries.
Right, which in the end will cost that government more. You see, if you're not wanting to do implement what you're saying there, you let it happen, but in the end, it ends up costing the state more, because it is the state's a burden on the health department now to look after the all these things that could have been prevented had you do. And as you're saying clearly, before somebody says Dr. ALAKE has said people's marriages was trying to break people's marriages, that's not what she's saying. She's saying that be informed. She's talking about informed choices. So a choice is your choice. You're a grown adult, free to make whatever choice you're making, but at least don't say you did not know about that. That is the difference. Just like me walking around the place and saying, if I did not know that a stove is hot, that if I put my finger on it, it will burn me. That's something different. But I know that it is a hot stove will burn my hand. If I go and still put my hand on it, that's my problem. Maybe it's because I think but at least I knew before. Somebody warned me and said, this is the consequence. If I still went ahead and did it, then the fault is on me. But then, yes, but what she's saying that I cannot just thank you enough for this. It is an eye-opener for me sitting here and listening to you. I can just imagine what more of an eye-opener it is for our youth out there. Because most of them, some of us can just only count on the mercy of God and just be lucky that didn't happen to us. Because it was not as if we went and found anything out. We just said, as I said, you met your person in Guayaquil there. You were compatible, the kinds of things you like. We both like reading. We both like dancing. We both so and so. He's from my area of the same tribe. Bam, you go. You see, there's a lot of prenuptial things, and we hardly think about the health part. You go to the priest, he advises you, and says the wife, don't be sulking in the house. Husband, don't be harsh on your wife. You see, they do that part of it. You go to the rich people in Hollywood, they say, sign a prenuptial agreement that you're not going to be after my money. You see, if I earn this amount of money, blah, blah, blah. But nobody's really sitting and saying what you're saying, prenuptial stuff, health-wise. Go and look at what is in store and empower yourself with the knowledge so that when you go into this, you are aware of it. And as you're saying, catch them. For me, you said university, I would even say high school. Start that, because by the time now you're sitting and saying, okay, I love the person too much now, I cannot do anything about it. Before you get so emotionally attached, if you start getting serious and say, this is somebody that I may want to spend my life with, then you should find out those things. And if you already knew yours, like you're saying, you already knew yours, by the time, it's not as if now you are both now only going now to go and find out when you're already engaged, the engagement ring, now you're going to find out. But if you already knew yours, as you're chatting and talking about this and that thing, it comes out, then you can know, warning sign, before you get so emotionally involved that you're almost carried away and you know better, but you're going ahead. Yes. So Dr. Alake, do you have any other closing word to say here? You've already done so much to enlighten us, to empower us, to raise awareness. I don't know how to thank you more than I've already thanked you, but just glad that you could come and that you could speak out. What would be your closing remarks, or what last word do you have for us before we close this?
Okay, thank you, Egbe. The closing remark is that I'm really delighted that I can air out what I've been nurturing in me for a long time concerning this issue of importance of prenuptial tests. And I think my take-home message is that all youths, youths is from 10 years up, from 10 years to 24, 25, where they should know their genome. It's important that they know their genome.
Right.
And those target decision makers, which I've already mentioned, parents, the clergy, the civil authorities, the university administrators, they should try to see that they play a role to bring down the rate of sickle cell disease also in Cameroon, in their own part. Right. Then individuals, like medical doctors like myself, for me, I've taken upon myself, in my clinic, there's campaign all through. You see the announcements each time we are screening, we are making campaign for screening for prenuptial tests, and I do them at a subsidized price. All what I do is I recuperate the amount that I use to buy these test kits that are being used in the lab to perform these tests for youth, and many are coming to do the test. Very subsidized rate. You can imagine that in my clinic, when I do this tests, I do hemoglobin electrophoresis, blood group, and HIV testing. All these 3 tests for 6,000 francs.
Please, I don't want to. I'm not shy about it. Please tell us the name of that clinic. Please tell us the name of the clinic. Here, you're here on the platform. Somebody is there in Yaoundé, because you're based in Yaoundé, right?
Yeah, I'm based in Yaoundé.
You're based in Yaoundé. No, please go ahead and say, I'm not. This is free publicity. Please go ahead. I don't mind publicity that saves lives. So please give the name.
It's Positive Health Surgery Clinic.
Okay. Where is it located?
Surgery. When you say surgery is, it's a cabinet medical, as they say in English. This is from the British. When I was in the UK, that's how I got the name of this clinic like this. Positive Health Surgery Clinic. It's located at Mendon, that's a quarter in Yaoundé, in the central region of Cameroon. We have our website, Positive Health Surgery Clinic, and we have, you just Google it, it will lead you to there, and you could get the the information how to get there.
Right.
So
and even the phone number to call.
The phone number, the call number is there with the opening hours, everything.
Correct.
Just Google Positive Health Surgery Clinic.
Positive Health Surgery Clinic.
You'll get us.
In Mendong there in Yaoundé.
Mendong in Yaoundé.
Please, and you can see her name right there. It's showing she's Dr. Grace Bambole ALAKE. You cannot, when you say you don't know, you don't know. Now you've heard this, you see, you don't have an excuse anymore. You've heard this or you've watched it, you don't have an excuse anymore. Talk to your children. Talk to your children. And if you're a clergy person listening, advise the couples. You're Monsieur le Maire, the mayor somewhere, talk to those people, and you're the decision maker in a ministry somewhere, in the government somewhere, push for it. Push for it. Let us all join hands together. You can see how passionate this my sister is. She has talked on. I could say this if she could find somebody to actually just almost, as they say, conk you on the head and say, what is wrong with you? She's done her own part. She's done her own part to tell you. She's doing her own part in her clinic. The rest of us now can only say we have heard. Let's take action. Your child comes to you with somebody that they're interested in. You see them even begin to date there, say, hey, before you all get serious, you know, or before that even, you should know your own. Let's make sure, let's think about it as parents. Go and just find out that information for your children. Let them know it already. And look, they're even talking about blood donations and things like that, and other issues even besides this one. You should know your blood group and already for things like that, just to know. We think about other things, but we don't always think about the health part. So I'm going to thank you. You're going to say something.
Yeah, one last word.
Go on, please.
During our course of doing all this sensitization, testing, campaigns, the major challenge is, you know, these children, they don't have the means to carry out the test. Last time when we went into Boya, most of them, they were unable to pay the money. They really want to do it, but they don't have money. So some free will donors have to come in. They came in, they paid the test for these children. You understand? So if there are some free will donors, some associations, some corporations, some firms, please, we are ready to collaborate with you to see that Cameroonians are tested. They are screened. Right. Thank you.
That's very important. I suppose we'll sponsor things and give donations, some beer, give a cell phone, that kind of thing. Maybe we should start thinking, those of you well-to-do and flourishing business people, that is an option that you can do to give back to your community, to actually make it a healthier, happier, and problem-free community. That way, people are happy, couples get a chance to live healthier and happier lives, and there's less stress and strife and trouble in this particular domain. It will be it make a big change, because we all know the stress unhealthy children can put on a marriage, can put on a community.
That's what the ex-students of CAST BAMBILI, the 81 batch of CAST BAMBILI students wish to do in the month ahead, in the weeks ahead. So they're planning to support this activity. And when the time comes, we'll come again to the air and tell you what it's all about.
You know your work
of CAST BAMBILI,
right.
They are planning to collaborate to support this move. Thank you.
And you know you're welcome on this platform anytime, day or night. I'll be ready to come and sit down here. I'll find a tie and tie, come and sit down here and talk about it, because it's important. There are other little frivolous things that don't quite matter, and we talk about those things. So I'm proud of our badge. See, this is our SSO right here. She was our SSO right there in our BAMBILI days. I'm proud of her. I'm proud of the class in general. That is not only a matter of like saying we're happy and just dance. There's nothing wrong with the dancing and eating and drinking and making merry, but this is the important part too, to look after, to care about our community, our respective communities, to make the world a better, healthier place. Besides just because it's a privilege to have gone to that school. It was the cream of the high schools back in the day. We're privileged to attend it. So it's been 40 years, believe it or not, since we were in that school. So we are doing that celebration this year and trying to mark it in meaningful ways, such as this right here that our SSO herself, Dr. ALAKE, has done. So please, you've heard her. Go ahead and do as she has recommended. she has suggested, and she has advised. She's not trying to force anybody, but you know, now you know. So you should act accordingly. So thank you once more, Dr. Alake, for being here with us. And I cannot wait to have you back on the platform to speak more about the reaction to this and what else has been done. And hopefully maybe you'll be coming here with good news to say you are seeing the implementation of all your recommendations.
God willing.
God willing, God willing. I would say a big amen to that.
Amen.
All right then. Thank you so much for being here, and God bless.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Igwe.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nice.
All right. Okay.
Bye.
Bye for now.
Bye.